We learn from failure, not from success. The only person who never makes mistakes is the person who never does anything. The biggest mistake you can make is being afraid to make one. Hello, my friends, and welcome to a safe space where anyone is welcome here to learn, to grow, to heal, to relate, or even just to find comfort. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today we're going to be talking about how to free ourselves from the burden of our past mistakes. To be clear here, obviously we can't free ourselves of the mistakes themselves because whatever has happened and we cannot go back and change that. But the problem is that we often get so stuck and so hung up on those mistakes to where we just can't seem to let them go. And so we carry this shame around with us. We carry this insecurity around with us. And it continues to affect us in our present day lives, even though it happened in the past. I think we all experience that sometimes, but it doesn't make any sense to do that because when we do that, it's like we're replaying a movie in our minds that's taking us out of the present moment right now. The only movie that we should be living is the current movie, the movie that is our lives. But it's like we constantly replay this old movie, this one that's no longer serving us. And because we're consistently replaying it and thinking about it, our body is reacting to that memory and our body is consistently feeling this feeling of shame, this feeling of guilt, this feeling of embarrassment. And no one deserves to feel that way. No one deserves to live that way because whoever you were in the past doesn't determine who you are now. You can choose to be different at any point. Whether we're talking about small mistakes, big mistakes, things that happened 5 seconds ago or things that happened 5 years ago. There's no reason to carry the weight of those mistakes on our shoulders because it's just a burden that we don't need to have. It's a burden that we don't deserve to have. Because if your past mistakes are bothering you that much, then you likely have learned from them and have grown from them and have moved on from them. So how can we start to leave those things in the past and free ourselves of those burdens? We can start by changing how we see those mistakes, sort of like reframing those mistakes or reframing our perspective around those mistakes. For example, maybe something that you deeply regret is how you treated another person. And the way you might be viewing that mistake now is, I'm such a bad person. I'm so rude. Why did I do that? I hate myself. But if you choose to reframe how you saw that mistake, you may look at it now and say, wow, I'm so glad that from that mistake, I learned how to be such a more kind, compassionate person to everyone. I'm so much nicer to people now. I actually watch what I say before I say things now. It's a blessing to have learned that lesson, to have had that wake-up call. Or maybe the mistake that you made was you didn't spend enough time with a loved one before they passed away. Because that's the kind of mistake that deeply hurts, that almost nothing makes that feel better, right? But even that we can reframe and once again be so grateful that we learned that lesson to appreciate every single moment with the people that we love and give so much more attention and care to the people who are in our present lives. Now, if that didn't happen, you may have never learned that mistake and went most of your life or your entire life not truly living or not truly loving or not truly appreciating. We cannot control what happens, but we can control how we react to the things that happen. Almost nothing is ever going to go according to plan because that is just life. And we may feel powerless at times, but we actually do have some power. We can use each of those mistakes as learning curves and steps to growing as a person and learning through each and every one of those mistakes. Also changing your mindset about how you see mistakes in general, seeing mistakes in a healthier way. An emotionally intelligent person doesn't not make mistakes. A successful person doesn't not make mistakes. They still make mistakes, but they choose to see those mistakes not even really as mistakes, more so as opportunities for growth, no matter what area of life we're talking about here. Any mistake that we make is not really technically a mistake when we look at it, because it's really just another step in our personal development, in our character development, in our path to becoming a better, wiser, more well-rounded human being. Sometimes I'll have those days when I get nothing done and I procrastinate, or I spend hours on my phone watching mindless content, and then I just feel like shit about it. I feel bad about myself. I have low self-esteem after a day like that. And yes, it hurts and it makes me feel bad about myself as a person. But I also look at it in a light, I'm happy this happened today, because tomorrow I am ready to go all out, like more than I have in like a month, because I feel so bad about the day previously. Or it's often when, whatever it is we're struggling in life, whatever vice we have, or whatever thing that's holding us back. You know how there's those times when it gets so bad, it gets like really, really bad. And then you just feel like you're having a breakdown, or you just feel so ashamed in yourself. Those times are when you are absolutely the most motivated to change. When you're finally just like, I'm so done. I can't do this anymore. I want to be better. So when you look at it that way, it's almost like you can't even see it as a mistake, because it was just a part of your character development. The only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. So if we want to free ourselves from the burden of our mistakes, because there's no reason why we should be burdened by these little lessons that are sprinkled throughout our lives. Of course, it's easier said than done. I still lay in bed at night and can't sleep because I'm thinking about some of my past mistakes. We're only human, and it's not always easy to do that. But if you're someone who is struggling with doing that, you want to kind of switch to these ways of thinking. Maybe make these your affirmations, come back to these statements when you're stuck in a loop of shame and regrets, and try to go about your life with these beliefs in mind, with these statements in mind. I am only human. The past is gone. I am ever changing and growing. Life is a teacher, and I learn from each moment. My mistakes and flaws are endearing, humorous even. I feel empowered that I can always change them with every new moment. All right, thank you so very much for joining me in today's video, and I really hope that it resonated. I really hope that it added value. If it did, it would mean the world to me if you gave it a like or commented, because that really helps support me in the YouTube algorithm, and it helps this video to reach others who need to hear it. And if you are also on a journey of healing, becoming your best self, awakening, or you would just simply like a safe space to come back to every week, then definitely subscribe to the channel. I would absolutely love to have you here. But other than that, I really hope that I see you in my next video. Blessings to you all.